It's a Saturday morning. You step outside with your coffee, and there it is, a crack running straight across your driveway like a scar. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't park a tank on it. You just lived your life. And yet, the concrete you paid good money for is already falling apart. You crouch down, run your finger along the fracture, and a familiar knot forms in your stomach. Because you know what's coming next. You're going to have to call someone. And calling someone means writing a very painful check. So the contractor shows up. He walks over, glances at the crack, maybe 10 seconds of actual looking, and then he gives you the number. That'll be $1,800. $1,800 for a crack you could cover with your hand. He's in and out in under 10 minutes. He loads his gear, backs out of your driveway, the one you just paid to fix, and drives away. You stand there feeling something between fury and helplessness, because what choice did you have? You didn't know another way. Nobody ever told you there was one. Here's the part they never want you to figure out. That contractor? He's just one soldier in a very, very large army. $30 global concrete repair industry by 2036. Billions. Spent every year fixing concrete that shouldn't be breaking. Think about that number, $30 billion. Not to build new things, to fix things that are already broken, and it grows every single year. This isn't an industry solving a problem. This is an industry that depends on the problem never getting solved. The homeowners, people like you, like your neighbors, are the peasants in this empire. And the empire runs on one thing, your ignorance of a better way. Now here's where it gets darker. The concrete under your feet, the stuff in your driveway, your basement walls, your sidewalk, is made with Portland cement. The formula was patented in 1824, 200 years ago, and in 2 centuries of supposed technological progress, the construction industry has barely touched it. Why? Because it doesn't need to. Portland cement is already perfectly designed, not to last, but to fail. It cures, it hardens, and then it begins its slow, inevitable process of cracking. Water seeps in, it freezes and expands, the microfractures widen. Give it 2 winters and a hot summer and you've got yourself a repair bill. The cycle resets. The industry gets paid again. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's just very convenient economics. But here's where I need you to stop and ask a question that should bother every single person who's ever filed a concrete repair claim. The Pantheon in Rome was built in 125 AD. Nearly 2,000 years ago, it still stands. No cracks, no patches, no contractors. The Romans also built harbor structures, massive concrete piers sunk into the Mediterranean Sea that have been battered by saltwater storms and time for 2 millennia, and they are still there, still structurally sound. Your driveway is 2 years old and it looks like a dried lake bed. Something doesn't add up. And the answer, the real answer, is one that a $30 billion industry has very little interest in you finding. The Romans knew something. They had a formula, not a secret in the mystical sense, but a practical, material secret that modern cement manufacturers quietly abandoned because it didn't make good business sense. It made concrete that lasted too long. It made concrete that didn't need fixing. Researchers have now reverse engineered what the Romans used, and what they found is staggering. Their concrete doesn't just resist cracking. It actually heals itself when water gets in. It gets stronger over time, while yours gets weaker. I'm going to show you exactly what that ancient formula is, why the repair industry has buried it, and most importantly, how you can use it yourself. No contractor, no $1,800 invoice. Just a 2,000-year-old trick that the people profiting from your broken driveway really, really hope you never find out about. The Roman Empire fell, their concrete didn't. Here's why, and what it means for your driveway. In 2023, a team of researchers at MIT published a study in Nature Communications, one of the most respected scientific journals on the planet. They weren't archaeologists, they weren't historians, they were material scientists, and they had spent years doing something remarkable, taking samples of 2,000-year-old Roman concrete and putting them under modern analytical instruments to figure out exactly why they hadn't crumbled yet. What they found didn't just answer an ancient question, it exposed a very modern failure. The paper made headlines in science circles for about a week. Then it quietly disappeared from mainstream conversation. No primetime segment, no Contractor trade magazine spread, no home improvement channel special, almost as if the information had somewhere uncomfortable to go, and nobody wanted to take it there. Here is what the MIT team actually found, and I want you to understand this clearly because it changes everything. Roman concrete was not made like ours. The Romans mixed volcanic ash, specifically from a region called Pozzuoli near Naples, with seawater and lime. But the key wasn't just the ingredients, it was what happened inside the material after it was poured. Scattered throughout the Roman mix were small white chunks called lime clasts. For a long time, scientists assumed these were just manufacturing imperfections, the Romans being sloppy with their mixing. The MIT team proved the opposite. Those clasts were the secret. When water finds a crack and enters the concrete, it hits a lime clast. The clast dissolves, releasing calcium. That calcium combines with the surrounding minerals and crystallizes, physically growing into the gap and sealing it from the inside. The concrete heals itself. Not metaphorically, chemically, structurally actually. The Romans built a dynamic system, a living material that responds to damage the way a bone responds to a fracture. Meanwhile, modern Portland cement does the opposite. Every hairline crack is a highway for water, which widens the fracture, which invites more water, until you need a contractor with a $1,800 invoice and a 10-minute schedule. Before I tell you what the Romans actually used and where you can get it, I need to explain how the industry keeps you from ever getting this far on your own. It's not complicated. It's a vocabulary scam. The moment you call a contractor, they start speaking a different language, a language specifically designed to make you feel unqualified to have an opinion. Industry jargon versus plain English substrate. Preparation. Cleaning, the crack with a brush. Polyurethane injection. Squirting foam into a gap. Spall repair protocol patching a chip in the surface. Cementitious overlay system. Pouring a thin layer on top. Every one of these terms exists to create a psychological distance between you and the task. Because the moment you believe the task requires specialized knowledge, you stop asking questions. You stop comparing prices. You stop wondering whether you could do it yourself for a fraction of the cost. That distance is worth billions of dollars. So what is the actual material the Romans used? The one that creates those self-healing lime clasts? You've probably walked past it at your local hardware store without a second glance. Quicklime, calcium oxide, or natural hydraulic lime. Available at most hardware stores for under $10 a bag. The same chemistry, 2,000 years later. Natural hydraulic lime, NHL, is made from limestone burned at lower temperatures than Portland cement. It retains the reactive properties that allow it to absorb water, carbonate slowly, and, critically, self-repair microscopic cracks over time rather than propagating them. Why don't contractors recommend it? Because there's no subscription model. You buy a bag once, you mix it with water. It lasts for decades. You never need to call anyone again. There's no quarterly maintenance contract hiding inside a bag of NHL. And in an industry built on repeat business, a product that works permanently is a product that gets quietly shelved. $1. The most dangerous product in construction is one that doesn't need to be replaced. Let's name some names. The global concrete repair market is dominated by a handful of very large corporations. Sika AG 11B+ annual revenue. Sells proprietary repair mortars at premium margins. No NHL products in their residential line. Mapei 4B+ annual revenue. 30+ branded concrete repair systems. Each requires their own primer, their own bonding agent, their own sealer. These companies aren't evil, they're just optimized. Perfectly, ruthlessly optimized for profit. And profit, in their model, comes from complexity. Every repair requires a system. Every system requires their products. Every product needs to be reapplied. The MIT research on Roman concrete represents a direct threat to that entire architecture. A material that heals itself doesn't generate a product ecosystem, so it doesn't get a marketing budget. It doesn't get a trade show booth. It doesn't get recommended by the contractor who buys his supplies from the distributor who gets his margin from Sika. The information doesn't get suppressed by some shadowy boardroom meeting. It just quietly starves to death because nobody in the chain has a financial reason to feed it. And then there is the cost that doesn't show up on anyone's invoice at all. 8% share of global CO2 emissions from cement production. More than aviation and shipping combined 4B tons. Portland cement produced annually, much of it replacing concrete that failed prematurely. The cement industry produces roughly 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions every year. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire aviation industry, more than all the ships in the world's oceans. And a significant portion of that production isn't building new things. It's replacing concrete that cracked on schedule, was torn out, and poured again. The business-as-usual model is not just expensive for your wallet. It is expensive for the atmosphere. Roman concrete, by contrast, actually absorbs CO2 over time through a process called carbonation. It pulls carbon from the air as it cures and hardens. The Romans accidentally invented carbon-negative building material 2,000 years ago. We replaced it with a formula that pumps carbon out and then cracks within 2 winters. Every $1,800 repair job has an environmental price tag that never appears on the invoice. All right, enough history, enough anger. Let's talk about Saturday morning. The good kind. The kind where you fix the problem yourself, spend less than the cost of lunch, and never think about that contractor again. Here is your complete shopping list. Walk into any Home Depot, Lowe's, or local hardware store and look for these exact things. Complete repair kit, hardware store only, hydraulic cement or vinyl concrete patcher, monopolymeric wire brush, stiff bristle, Tertius, cold chisel or flathead screwdriver, $0. You own one concrete bonding sealer, optional but smart. $6. Total under $15. That's it. No specialized equipment, no trade account, no certification. The same repair contractor charges $800 for begins with a $1 bag and ends with you washing your hands before noon. The industry wants you to believe concrete repair is complicated enough to require a professional. It is not. Here is the entire process, stripped of every syllable of jargon. 1. Shape the crack, the keyhole cut. Use your chisel or screwdriver to widen the crack slightly into an inverted V shape. Narrow at the top, wider underneath. This is called undercutting. It sounds technical. It means make the inside of the crack bigger than the opening so the filler has something to grip. It takes 3 minutes. A flat crack lets the patch pop out. A keyhole shape locks it in permanently. 2. Clean the crack. No dust, no debris. Scrub the crack thoroughly with your wire brush. Blow out the dust. Rinse with water and let it become damp. Not soaking, not dry. Damp concrete gives the patch something to bond with. Dry concrete sucks moisture out of your mix too fast, and the patch fails. This is the step most DIYers skip. Don't skip it. 3. Mix and apply. Peanut butter consistency. Mix your hydraulic cement with water until it reaches the consistency of thick peanut butter. Not soup, not clay, peanut butter. Press it firmly into the crack, working from the bottom up. Force it in. Remove air pockets. Smooth the surface flush with a putty knife or trowel. Hydraulic cement expands slightly as it sets, which means it presses outward into your keyhole cut and locks itself in place. After 24 hours, apply a thin coat of concrete bonding sealer over the repaired area. This is what prevents water from entering the new patch during winter, freezing, expanding, and reopening the crack. 1 coat. Let it dry. You're done. The entire process takes under 2 hours of actual work. The rest is waiting for things to cure. That's the whole procedure. Clean it, shape it, fill it, seal it. No license required, no invoice, just done. This isn't theoretical. Let me give you a real example from a homeowner in Columbus, Ohio. We'll call him Marcus because that's his name, and he told this story publicly in a home improvement forum. Marcus had a 14-foot crack running across his garage floor. He got 2 contractor quotes. The first was $2,200. The second, different company, same week, was $2,400. Same crack, same garage. $400 apart just in the quoting. Marcus decided to look up the actual materials involved before signing anything. He found the same information you now have. He went to his local hardware store, Columbus, Ohio. Garage floor repair neighbor paid $2,400. Professional contractor, quote, for identical crack repair. Marcus paid $14, 1 bag of hydraulic cement plus wire brush. Same result. 3 years in holding. His neighbor, same street, same style of garage floor, similar crack, had paid a contractor $2,400 the month before. Marcus's repair cost $14. His neighbor's repair was redone 18 months later. Marcus's repair, 3 years on, has not moved. The difference wasn't skill, it wasn't equipment, it was information. I kept waiting for it to fail, it didn't. That's when I realized the whole thing had been a scam from the beginning. Here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Your grandfather fixed his own driveway. Your grandmother regrouted her own tiles. Your great-grandparents built additions onto their own houses. They did not have YouTube tutorials. They did not have home improvement stores with color-coded instruction labels. They had common sense, basic materials, and the foundational belief that a house was something you maintained yourself, not something you paid a stranger to understand on your behalf. Somewhere between that generation and this one, an entire industry convinced us that we are not qualified, that our homes are too complex for us to touch, that attempting to repair ourselves is reckless, dangerous even. And in the process, they turned a generation of capable adults into permanent consumers, people who pay not for skill they don't have, but for confidence they were deliberately stripped of. That stripping was not accidental. It was a business model. You are not incapable. You were made to feel that way. There is a difference, and it's worth about $20,400 every time you internalize it. A longer conversation. And the concrete repair industry is only the beginning. What I've been building, what I call the vault, is a growing archive of exactly this kind of information. Ancient materials science that has been quietly sidelined. Everyday repairs that have been artificially complicated. Industries that profit from your confusion and have invested heavily in maintaining it. Coming next, why your roof sealant is designed to fail in year 4. And the $7 flashing tape that lasts 20. Why the professional grade paint at the big box store is the same formula as the contractor's paint, just rebranded at twice the price. Why the grout in your bathroom is failing on schedule, and the lime-based alternative that's been sealing Mediterranean villas for 600 years. The pattern is always the same. Ancient knowledge, a profitable replacement, a vocabulary designed to exclude you, and somewhere in a hardware store, usually on the bottom shelf, the original solution, still there, still working, still cheap, waiting for someone who knows to look. I want to ask you to do one thing before you close this video. Don't just save it, don't just bookmark it, send it to someone, the neighbor who just got a $2,000 quote, the friend who just bought a house and is already getting contractor calls, the family member who was about to write a check they couldn't afford because nobody told them they had another option. This information does not spread through official channels. It never will. The official channels are owned by the same industry that profits from you not having it. The only way this gets out is person to person. The old way, word of mouth, the way knowledge has always survived when the people in power wanted it buried. The empire we talked about in part 1, the $30 billion repair industry built on your confusion, it doesn't have a weakness in its products or its lobbying or its marketing budgets. Its only weakness is an informed homeowner who talks to another homeowner.